The story of the film takes place in 1918 and follows a German family that immigrated to the United States, settling specifically in Texas, where they live on a large farm. The movie begins with a young woman named Pearl, the only daughter of a father suffering from a rare illness that leaves him unable to speak or move, and a strict mother, Ruth, who constantly pressures Pearl and stands in the way of her dream of becoming a stage performer. Ruth believes that Pearl's father and the farm need constant care, and that Pearl's duty is to stay. We also learn that Pearl is married to a young man named Howard, but he left to join the army and serve in World War I. One day, Pearl is dancing when her mother walks in, scolds her, and tells her to stop wasting time and go feed the animals. Despite everything, Pearl takes good care of the farm animals, and we see her talking to them, telling them that her life on the farm is only temporary, that one day she'll become a famous star and leave it all behind. It's clear she hates being stuck there. One day, while she's dancing and imagining herself as a star, a goose interrupts her. She gets furious, kills the goose with a pitchfork, and it becomes a symbolic moment showing she's not going to let anything stand between her and her dream anymore. She then takes the goose and tosses it into the lake as a gift to her only friend, the alligator. Later that night, before dinner, Pearl wants to read the newspaper to see if there's any news about Howard returning home, but her mother stops her. She doesn't want Pearl reading anything about the war or hearing about German soldiers dying. During dinner, Ruth's strict and controlling personality becomes even more obvious, and the tension between them grows because the mother sees Pearl as selfish and irresponsible. One day, Ruth sends Pearl to town to pick up some supplies for her and for her father. While she's there, Pearl passes by the movie theater and seizes the chance to sneak inside and watch a musical performance, just to escape her mother's control for a bit. Everyone in the theater is wearing masks because of the plague and cholera spreading at the time. Pearl watches the show and imagines herself inside the film, dancing on stage. After the movie ends, she grabs a flyer for a dance troupe that's auditioning for new performers. She stands behind the theater reading it when the projectionist approaches her, introduces himself as David, and asks if she enjoyed the film. He gives her a cigarette and chats with her for a while. Seeing an opportunity, Pearl tells him about her dream. He invites her to the next screening for free and even cuts out a picture from the film she just watched and gives it to her. On her way back home, the picture slips out of her hand and flies into the fields. When she goes after it, she finds a scarecrow stuck between the crops. She pulls it down and starts dancing with it, completely lost in her fantasy. It's clear her dream of becoming a dancer consumes her entirely. Suddenly, Pearl imagines that the scarecrow is actually David, the projectionist, and she gets scared and hurries back home. Her mother asks why she's late, and Pearl says the road was long, but her mother knows she's lying. She also asks about the hat she's wearing, and Pearl claims she found it on the road. Her mother snaps at her, afraid the hat might carry diseases. After that, Pearl takes her father to care for him. She talks to him about her trip to the cinema, pinches him to make sure he can't speak and reveal her secret, and even tries to choke him just to see whether he'll defend himself or not. Later at dinner, her mother asks about the rest of the money that was meant for medicine, but Pearl says she spent it on candy in town. Her mother pulls the food away and tells her, "The candy should be enough for you," which makes Pearl furious. She leaves to sleep in her room. But her mother calls her back, telling her she's a married woman now and needs to be responsible for her actions, and that she only acted that way to teach her a lesson. If she doesn't manage her money well, they won't have anything to eat. Pearl refuses to eat and heads to her room, praying to become a famous star one day so she can leave the farm she hates. The next day, while Pearl is doing chores on the farm, they receive a visit from Mitzi, her husband Howard's sister, who arrives with her mother. Pearl's mother refuses to let them in because she fears infection, and she also refuses the food they brought, saying they don't accept charity. Mitzi tells Pearl that a dance troupe will hold auditions on Saturday, and whoever gets selected will travel the world with them. She offers to take Pearl with her, but without telling Pearl's mother. Pearl agrees, but she's clearly terrified of her mother. That night, Pearl sneaks out of the house, puts on new clothes, and goes to the projectionist. She tells him about the dance audition and says no one has ever seen her true talent. He encourages her and tells her not to waste a chance like that, and that if she truly believes in her dream, she shouldn't let anyone stand in her way. He even offers to show her more performance films from time to time. Pearl thanks him and heads home, only to find her mother crying hysterically. Pearl ignores her and goes straight to bed. The next morning, Pearl takes her father in his wheelchair to the lake and calls out to the alligator she named Ida. She tells her father she loves him dearly and can't leave him because no one else will care for him, and that she would feel guilty if she abandoned him. But she also tells him he's standing in the way of her dream, and that she'll never achieve anything as long as he is around, so she plans to throw him to the alligator. At the last moment, her mother appears and takes him back to the house. Pearl stares at her and asks, "Why do you hate me?" Her mother replies that she doesn't hate her, she's only doing what's best for her. Then Pearl goes to the alligator's nest and steals an egg, placing it in the bird's nest on the farm, only to take it again later. She imagines her husband Howard returning home and exploding, and she crushes the egg as a symbol that she wants to get rid of him too, because he's another obstacle in her way. Later at dinner, Pearl's mother places the dance troupe flyer in front of her and tells her that since she went to the cinema, she must stay in her room, eat alone, and isolate herself until they know whether she's sick or not. Pearl tells her about the dance audition on Saturday and begs to go, but her mother fiercely refuses. Pearl pleads, saying she wants just one chance, and if she gets rejected, she'll return and never speak of it again. But the mother still refuses, saying their duty is to take care of Pearl's father and the farm. She accuses Pearl of being ungrateful for wanting to leave them and tears the flyer apart in front of her. The mother confronts Pearl and says she's seen the strange things she does when she's alone, and that she watches her closely. She explains she only went to the lake earlier to stop Pearl before she hurt her father. She says she will never allow Pearl to leave the house and harm anyone else again. Pearl snaps back, telling her no one can stop her. The mother becomes even angrier, saying this is their fate and they must endure it. She says Pearl's husband isn't here, and her own husband is practically gone even while sitting right in front of her. She tells Pearl that if caring for him feels like a burden, she can kill him and end it, but that not everything people want comes true, otherwise no one would suffer. Her mother ends with, "If you want to leave, then leave, but you'll fail, and I'll be here to watch you fail." Pearl tells her she doesn't want to become like her. The mother slaps her, but Pearl slaps her back harder and screams, "I hate you," then shoves her into the fire. Her mother's clothes catch fire, and although Pearl quickly tries to put out the flames, her mother's body is already severely burned. Pearl drags her, still alive, and locks her in the basement, while her father watches helplessly. Pearl leaves the house immediately and goes to the projectionist, spending the night there. She dreams she's a famous star performing on big stages, with the audience made up of her husband Howard, her parents, and David. The next day, David drives her home so she can prepare for the audition. She briefly imagines seeing Howard returning but realizes it's someone else. She rushes into the house, straightens everything up, and gives her father his medicine to make everything look normal. David notices the food her mother left out has rotted and is full of maggots, and he senses something is off. Pearl calls him to meet her father, then moves closer to David and tells her father she plans to marry him. The father boils with anger inside but can't do anything. David notices food spilled on the floor and grows even more uneasy. Pearl takes him to see the animals, but he becomes increasingly nervous, sensing something seriously wrong with her. He politely tries to leave, but she tells him to wait because she's coming with him. Suddenly, she screams at him in a terrifying, wild way. He rushes to his car, trying to escape, but she appears beside him inside the vehicle and says, "I thought you liked me." She stabs him in the chest with a pitchfork and kills him brutally. Even as he bleeds out, he tries to crawl away, but she drags him out of the car and finishes him off while screaming, "You all abandoned me!" Then she puts his body in the car, pushes it into the lake to make it look like an accident, and calls the alligator to feed. She goes back home and opens the door for her mother, who is still alive and trying to climb out of the basement. But Pearl throws her back down again with brutal force. After that, she goes to get her father to protect him, and the man is shaking nonstop from fear. She puts on a dress, dresses her father in a nice suit so she can take him with her, and the poor man's tears are streaming down his face. But at the last moment, she decides he's standing in her way, and kills him too. Afterward, she arrives at the audition, greets Mitzi, and they talk for a bit. Mitzi asks the judges if they only want one girl, and they confirm they're choosing just one. Pearl tells herself it has to be her. When it's Mitzi's turn, she asks Pearl to go in instead because she's too nervous. Pearl walks in totally confident, nerves of steel, and performs a strong, beautiful dance number she choreographed herself. But the judges reject her anyway, saying she isn't the type of performer they're looking for. That was her only chance to completely change her life, so she breaks down and begs them to accept her. She imagines the judges as Howard, her father, and her mother, a sign that she blames them for ruining her life, or at least tries to convince herself of that. She cries uncontrollably until they force her out, and she sits outside sobbing from heartbreak. Later, when Mitzi sees her in that state, she takes her home and tries to cheer her up. But Pearl tells her she has so much inside she wants to say but is too scared. Mitzi tells her, "Pretend I'm Howard, and talk to me. Get it out of your system." And Pearl does. She starts confessing everything. "I hate you, Howard, because you left me, the awful things I've done." Mitzi asks, "What did you do?" And Pearl begins revealing every mistake and crime she committed. She tells her she wished she could be a normal person like everyone else and follow her dreams. But it's clear now she'll be stuck on that farm forever and will never leave. She keeps talking about the darkness inside her. Mitzi is terrified, but she pretends everything is fine just to get out of the house safely. Before leaving, Pearl tells her she heard she won the competition and that she's really happy for her. Mitzi thanks her and walks out, but Pearl suddenly chases after her with an axe, yelling that she's jealous because Mitzi lives a better life and all her dreams are coming true while Pearl has nothing. She kills her brutally too, because she knows her secret. Pearl goes back home and heads to the basement where her mother has finally died and started to rot. Pearl lies in her arms, imagining her mother telling her she loves her. Then she takes her mother's corpse, combs her hair with mixed emotions, and imagines nothing ever happened. She keeps singing while the film shows flashes of Pearl chopping up Mitzi's body and feeding it to the alligator. She also dresses her father and mother in clean clothes and seats their bodies at the dinner table so they can eat together. The food on the table is days old, everything around her is rotten. Her life has basically become no different from the garbage on the table. Meanwhile, Howard comes back from the army, happy and full of excitement. He walks into the house, and freezes in terror at the sight of Pearl's parents, and the horrifying meal on the table. He stands there in shock, unable to move. Pearl comes to greet him, happy to see him, smiling sweetly, but her smile slowly turns into a terrifying, frozen grin that lasts for several minutes until the movie ends. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.